Bradley Holly does not get going. Everybody has to try and take avoiding maneuvers, someone even taking to the grass. And the front row just had a horrible start as Raymond Day also gets swamped. Boucher is going to go from fourth to first by the first turn.
That is now Ozzie Milwain trying to take a little bit of a look. Oh, what a great move by Michael Broomhead. Caught Andrew Hardman napping, and now they're going to be side by side going into the Curva Grande. Is Fonseca and McKenzie still going at it down into Rint. Fonseca holding it out for now. A little bit of a better run, though, for McKenzie.
Oh, and a bump. He gets into the back of him. Fonseca spins off. And McKenzie, is he going to get third? Because here comes Tavitas, and Tavitas takes third away from both of them.
Indeed, and now Almanar looking for a little bit of a fight back. He's going to poke his nose to the inside. That's a very tricky area to try to get that move done. Move's going to favor back, but Almanar's going to hold it around the outside. He has got it done and dusted. A great move for Jonathan Almanar.
Allowing him to retain. Bradley Holly does not get going. Everybody has to try and take avoiding maneuvers, someone even taking to the grass. And the front row just had a horrible start as Raymond Day also gets swamped. Boucher is going to go from fourth to first by the first turn. That is now Ozzie Milwain trying to take a little bit of a look. Oh, what a great move by Michael Broomhead. Caught Andrew Hardman napping, and now they're going to be side by side going into the Curva Grande. Is Fonseca and McKenzie still going at it down into Rint. Fonseca holding it out for now. A little bit of a better run, though, for McKenzie. Oh, and a bump. He gets into the back of him. Fonseca spins off. And McKenzie, is he going to get third? Because here comes Tavitas, and Tavitas takes third away from both of them. Indeed, and now Almanar looking for a little bit of a fight back. He's going to poke his nose to the inside. That's a very tricky area to try to get that move done. Move's going to favor back, but Almanar's going to hold it around the outside. He has got it done and dusted. A great move for Jonathan Almanar. Allowing him to retain that sixth position for now, but once again, a better exit, and this time the over-under worked a treat for Corey Lotfula. He's going to get the inside, and this drag race up to 130R should go in his favor, depending on how brave Doug Bacchignone is. Let's see, and not brave enough is the answer. You heard that exasperation out of me, Joe. A bad push there. Catches it, taps from behind, completely sideways, massive opposite lock, and he keeps it pointed the right way. Great job, Byron McDonald.
This is it. Big draft. Almost middle of the road there for Topi Kortanimi. Up the inside goes Togo Hisada. He has to get on the brakes, though. They're side by side through 130R. This is the battle for the win on the final lap here. Kortanimi stays defensive. Coming into the Casio triangle. Squeezing him.
I think Pi cannot do much here except break his late as he dares, which he tries and keeps an overlap into the left-hander, around the right-hander. He's got the outside. That tends to see better momentum, and it does this time. But now he's on the long way around from multiple corners and just gets fed out to the outside of the track. It is not there for Karthik Pai, and he finally gives up the ghost. Defensive move out of Mark Kaelin denies him for now, but he goes a little wide at the apex.
Does indeed. There you see the move from Jacques Boucher. He's going to try to take it out into that little kink now, but he's going to have to go the long way around Cascades. It's not going to work out, but that's going to open up the door to Bradley Holly. There he goes on through up into the podium position.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an advanced customer.
It's strange days in the early parts of 2022 for the PRL. Both the MX-5s and the GT3s see points leaders who lack a win, and each for different reasons. For now, though, many of the Miata pilots are likely more focused on the challenge ahead of them, with a visit to one of the most famous street circuits in the world. Let's see who gets to bask in the California sun as we get ready to watch round 3 of the PRL GT Pro Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. We'll head off down under and to Phillip Island a little bit later, but first, we got to tackle Long Beach. Let's get a better look at this legendary track. Welcome to Long Beach. Nestled into the south side of Los Angeles and running alongside the Pacific Ocean, this street circuit has made the port area world famous. Both Formula One and IndyCar have called this 2-mile, 11-turn circuit home. Winning here has become a prestige worth boasting about among open-wheel pilots. Indeed, the winners list includes the likes of Lauda, Andretti, Unser, Montoya, Power, and many other legendary names in racing. Much like its European sister over in Monaco, it's short, tight, and punishing. But unlike Monte Carlo, this circuit emerged from a rundown piece of California coast to grow into the glamorous location it is today. Down into Turn 1 at the end of Shoreline Drive is where the majority of overtakes tend to be made. But sneaky passes can also pop up in places like 6 on the way into Pine Avenue, or Turn 9 at the end of Seaside Way. There's also 2 distinctive landmarks notorious for causing track blockages. The fountain section, with all its beauty, is a single file affair save for the first lap. And the hairpin has been a staple here, even though it's changed locations a few times. In fact, that last hairpin not only includes the dangers of getting tangled with another car, but the important nature of getting the best exit you can to keep your rival from having a chance to pass you into the first corner. It feels appropriate that California's signature street track is a hop, skip, and a jump away from the beach. But while others might be trying to attack the surf, our drivers today will be attacking the corners instead. Well, DJ, this modern version of the track is obviously designed for Indy cars, but these Miatas really feel like they fit right in.
Yeah, they really do, Joe. And the couple of races that we've been able to cover here in the Miatas, we have always seen some fantastic racing. The best place to make an overtake, well, that's really going down into that first corner, the Toyota turn, that left-hander. It's where we see the majority of the overtaking. But from there on out, you're going to want to stay single file pretty much until you get to the Tecate turn, as the fountain section is always willing to catch out drivers. And if you try to go too wide through there, it is a one-way ticket into the wall. We can also see some pretty good overtaking if you set up coming off of Pine Avenue and onto Seaside Way down into that Firestone turn. That can be a good overtaking area as well, that 90-degree right-hander. But then going down into the Indy left and the world infamous hairpin, you've got to be very, very careful. In these Miatas, the way the weight transfers laterally across the car, it can be very, very tricky and very easy to get the car out of sorts coming through there. And we've seen a couple of drivers find their way into the outside barriers already.
Well, let's hope that we don't get that. But before we get to the racing, we want to remind you that our broadcast is brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
And finally, the PRL GT Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Now, as we take a look at the championship, 2 rounds in, and it is Bradley Holly who is leading. None of those 5 that you see have taken a win. So far, it's Danny Cervantes and Raymond Day in 11th and 12th. Danny with a did not start, and Raymond with a DNF to his name. But they each won the other race that they ran so far. That's why we've got this weird situation where Bergquist, Boucher, Muirhead, and Gross are all chasing a man that has not won a single race yet so far. What about the team's championship here, DJ?
Well, much like last season, it's the Miata Mafia off to a lead here and 16 points ahead of Oh God Right Turns with 5-5 Motorsports, about 8 points back of Oh God. Crikey, no breaks. They're sitting 11 points back, and a close battle shaping up between them and Fossil Racing Bone for 4th.
If we take a look at the race details as well, this is your traditional 35-minute race here for the MX-5 series. It is also open setup in these cars. Now, they have those drive-through penalties like always, 13 and 17, but the walls are so close and there's not really much in the way of grass to speak of around this track, so probably not going to see that get racked up unless they get some serious damage from hitting the wall or another car. And of course, their regular bonus points also on offer, including that pole position, which many drivers are vying for. But Raymond Day is back, and he's looking quick right now in the warm-ups or the qualifying session. In practice, wasn't quite as fast as he's looking now. It was Bradley Holly who left that one, and Ryan Kings was looking very fast in the warm-up, but I'm not seeing him as a major factor currently in this qualifying session.
Yeah, nor am I as we watch here driving around the course. This is that Seaside Way setup. There is Ryan Kings on your screen right now as he works his way around. He was able to go green in sector 2 and 3, so a personal best for him. We'll have to see how he handles this last section, but he may be able to move himself up from 11th place.
Yeah, I'm seeing about half a second up from his best time so far, and that'll get him within about 7/10 of Raymond Day, but still, I don't think that'll barely get him into the top 5 if he hits that mark. Well, now he's a second up, much better exit coming out of the final hairpin as he crosses the line. It is a 32.9. That is much, much better. That's a 5th place and on the second row.
It is indeed. So Ryan Kings may still be a factor out around here, but right now it is still Raymond Day topping the charts as we have a few more drivers working their way out onto track. Lots of time to get a lap down here, 15 minutes, but only about 4.5 remaining.
A lot of them look to be a little bit down on their time. Muirhead's going to come across here as we watch Holly onto the backstretch. Muirhead not able to improve after he has a very poor final corner, unfortunately. And here comes Holly down into the braking in Firestone turn. What does he have in this final section where the track weaves back and forth and then slows up into the hairpin? We've seen a lot of drivers really square off the exit for when they start a lap, but it looks like he's going to keep running on this one as he's happy with it. And he's just about hovering about around his best lap time. Could he improve on this 32.7? 2.7. He crosses at a 32.754 just off of it.
He's going to be kicking himself on that one, but he'll have time for about 2 more laps to get under his belt before everything gets done and dusted here as he goes around there. That is Patrick Cowgill currently back a little bit in the field. Danny Duchesne, though, able to put up a good time coming up into P12.
Giselle also crosses the line and improves to a 35.92. So that will get him up a little bit farther through the fields. Looks like Raymond Day is just starting a lap as we follow him down and across. Oh, no, actually, he might just be barely up. He is. It's a 32.548. So he improves ever so slightly and puts himself farther out of reach from Bradley Holly, who looks like he has taken it into pit lane. Unless he hustles out right now, it's unlikely he's going to be able to start a good flyer.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to there, so that could be pole position for Raymond Day, and he'll be very happy with this track position. Going to be key, but Mark Kaelin, out of nowhere, puts the 62 on the pole.
Wow, okay. And Mark Kaelin's not exactly been lighting the world on fire here in the MX-5 series, so that really is a shock. Day still out to try and respond. We've also got Kevin Bergquist and Ryan Kings out there trying to overtake him. Peter Newhook was looking very quick in the warm-up. He's only in 6th right now. He could still have something in the tank here. We're watching Kings come around into the hairpin. He looks like he is actually on an out lap right now. Yeah, he is not on a quick one as someone bangs into the wall coming off of Pine Avenue.
Indeed he does. So here comes Newhook right now. He was green in the first sector, so he may have a little bit of speed wound up in that Miata Mafia car, bringing it through this final area. So difficult. He's going to take a little bit of an earlier apex. You see him not carrying as much momentum to the outside there. That could hurt him a little bit.
Also watching Day because he was looking quick and he's just off of his best time. Newhook crosses and does not manage to go faster, about 4/10 down, unfortunately. So waiting for others to now reach the line to start what might be their last flying lap as we're running these 1.5-minute laps here. So drivers have really got to start hustling. Austin Harris goes mildly faster with a 34.9. And that unfortunately looks like that won't take him up the order as he stays in 21st. After that, I've got Randy Gross right now as we watch the 64 of Bergquist cycle around onto Pine Avenue. It looks like Gross's lap got deleted, so that one won't do any good for him.
No, it will not. But here he comes trying to push his way to the best of his abilities is Kevin Berquist. This is one of the first parts of the track when you were doing a hot lap where you can just kind of take a breather before you get into that crucial Firestone turn. There you can see him diving it down. Ooh, big chunk of the curb there, Joe.
Certainly being brave with it, but this car can take those curbs pretty well. It is compliant, but that makes it tough. You talked about the weight transfer it experiences, especially through here, as he really gets on the throttle down to the line. Berquist still looking about half a second off of his best time, so I doubt we'll see him improve. Let's watch. Nope, 33.2 is all he's going to be able to nab.
Indeed, Mark Kaelin, though, looking a little bit fast here. I see him clocking in at about 0.7 of a second faster than his best time. He could be very, very quick here, Joe.
Larson just went up into 8th. Looks like Boucher is done. He doesn't improve. Bladon is going to be the next one across. His lap gets deleted. Austin Harris pulling off to the side, allowing Mark Kaelin by. Does he go quicker than his 32.478? No, that one gets deleted as well. Next up going to be Randy Gross.
And Randy here trying to bring that car across, just making this curving straight as possible. Is Gross able to improve? It doesn't look like he is.
The only one able to set a time from here is going to be Ryan Kings, and he looks to be about 2 seconds down on his time. So we can expect that this one is a bit of a throwaway for the 43. 5th place, not bad, but certainly the warm-up made him look a little bit better than that. This is Pete Bladon, who's already, I believe, taken his final lap and has crossed the line. So here you see Ryan Kings taking that wide line we were talking about to try and square it off, but it's kind of a moot point here because he can't start a new one. And this one definitely is off the pace. So checkered flag waves for the 43. That is going to wrap up our qualifying, and Mark Kaelin takes the pole position today. That's a bonus point in his pocket. Raymond Day, one of our previous winners, is going to be starting from 2nd, followed by Bradley Hawley, who is in P3. It is Kevin Berquist in 4th, followed by Ryan Kings in P5. To his outside, Peter Newhook starts in 6th. Ian Cabana, 7th for him, followed by Jason Larson in 8th, and Parker Muirhead in 9th. Patrick Cowgill rounds out the top 10.
Starting off in the 11th position, it's going to be Jacques Boucher, followed by Baron Hilton with Danny Duchesne and Todd Lewis in row 7 behind them. Robert Gallinotto will line up in 15th, followed by Randy Gross with Jeffrey Smith and Pete Thomas making up row 9. Malcolm Foster will be 19th, and rounding out your top 20, it's Pete Bladon.
Austin Harris was 21st, followed by Dan Fendick in 22nd. Everybody got a time in, so Mark Giselle and Stacy Hunter will line up at the back of the field with their 35.9 and 37 flat. So as we start to grid up, we've got 2 onboard cameras waiting to see when they pop out there. It looks like we got Patrick Cowgill already on the grid in the number 31. He is going to be starting from 10th position today. We're just waiting for our other driver to join us. I love all the gauges there in the middle, the cluster that he's got hovering above his wheel. That's kind of neat. Definitely not standard here on iRacing. So some sort of overlay that he has chosen to pull, and that's pretty. I never noticed that before from Patrick, and he certainly has given himself a handy leg up on that one. But Peter Newhook going to be starting from 6th position. So outside of row 3 with a 33 flat for him. So we'll see how the Canadian can do. Wearing the traditional Canadian garb as well, it seems.
It does. Sometimes it is best to just sort of steer into the skid of that, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Looks like the lights are up and the green flag is out as Mark Kaelin is good off the line. Raymond Day under threat from Bradley Hawley, who finds himself with great acceleration coming out of the start line around the long bending curve here along the shoreline drive. But it's turn 1 that will make the difference. Who can break the latest? Ryan Kings sends it absolutely up the inside and makes contact, somehow keeping it straight. Mark Kaelin does not spin it, but 2nd place for Kings right away, and now another contact tries to keep from going around. Bradley Hawley has to check up. It is chaos back there.
It certainly is. Kaelin able to hold on to the lead, but absolute bananas racing all over the place here. You're seeing Galinotto, Lewis, Harris, Giselle, and Hilton all dropping down the field.
Oh, so after that initial incident, looks like everybody else kind of tried to scatter to avoid and ran into one another. We'll try to get a replay a little later, but that shook up the front. It is still our pole sitter, Kaelin, leading. Now it's Kings in second, and the battle for third is not settled as that's Day trying to hold back Newhook.
And Newhook forced to give up the ghost a little bit there, just not quite able to get it in as he's now trying to break the draft a little bit is Raymond Day. You can see him diving down to the inside. This is one of the few places on the circuit that the draft will actually come into effect, but that's going to be a pretty good run for Peter Newhook. Is he going to be able to hold it? No.
Had another incident between Giselle and Harris had to take a tow. He's back in pit lane as we finish the first lap with Kaelin being closely chased by Ryan Kings across the line. That battle between Day and Newhook has cost them. You can see the gap that has already formed.
Yeah, it's a very, very big gap that is there. Bradley Holly, who we focus on our screen, all the way back down in 15th. It is shades of last week all over again as he has got it all to work for here.
He had a decent start this time. This time it was contact that he made, which I think, well, let's see if he gets past here down into turn one. It looks like we'll head to the replay here. So he's going to make contact with the back of Kings as he hits the leader. Oh, no, and it's not just that. Looks like he got bumped from behind by Newhook.
I think that was just a big, big checkup, and then Holly's rejoin onto the track there. I think that was a little bit of incident fixation from guys like Giselle and Baron Hilton that really sent it around. Yeah, that was just a massive train wreck. It was just everybody checking up and then everybody getting thrown offline as a result.
Yeah, Hilton tried to avoid. He ran into Duchesne, and then Lewis got a little caught up in it as well. So yeah, multiple drivers, unfortunately. I'm a bit surprised. Holly's usually really good as whoa. We got problems with Lewis, Bladon. Looks like Randy Gross is off the track. Galinotto returning from the escape road. All kinds of smoke just clouding what was a messy little corner there.
Yeah, and that's the left-hander, the Tecate turn coming out of the first sector. I really think that was an issue of just everybody sort of getting checked up around themselves, and somebody sent it in a little bit too deep. Focusing back in on the leader, though, Mark Kaelin, he tries to get the gap out as much as possible here, up to 0.8 of a second.
Now, all four of those cars made contact in that corner through some different incidents happening as Raymond Day now takes the fastest lap of the race. So Kaelin leads Kings, leads Day back in third with Newhook in fourth. I was about to say, as we came back from that replay, I was a bit surprised to see Holly come back to try and cut in front of everybody so quickly. Usually he's a very cool head in those situations, but I think he rushed that a bit.
I think he did just a hair too, Joe, and that's a little bit of the red mist, as that was Holly, I think, making contact with the wall there just a little bit on the exit of the fountain section.
Oof. Speaking of the red mist, seems to be overdriving the car a little bit now as well. So he's up to 14th. He's sizing up Pete Thomas. It doesn't try and make a pass down into Tecate turn, at least this time. But once again, he looks a little bit quicker, and he's going to hold the inside line. They come up to the end of Pine Avenue, and he's once again not quite there.
But here's where he's going to get the help of that big toe, gets a good run off of the corner, already poking his nose down to the inside. He's going to draw up alongside, and now it's just a battle of the late breakers for Bradley Holly.
He's going to be able to get in there deeper and keeps it out of the wall. So Holly now up to 13th in front of them. There was a change between Duchesne and Boucher, with Danny taking 10th place. But actually coming off the corner, they're going to go side by side once again.
Oh, and it's another drag race shaping up here with the two of them, Duchesne and Boucher. That is the 27 of Duchesne to what will be the inside of the corner, but it's now going to favor the 5 as they work their way around. For Duchesne, he has just got to try to keep that in there as long as possible, but he doesn't have it. He is going to be forced to tuck up behind. Now going to try to go for it. No.
And Jeffrey Smith was getting very interested in things as he was weaving back and forth, hoping to find an opening if those two clattered together. But behind them, that is Bradley Holly with 3 spots immediately in front of him. He could yet get more, but he's way off the apex.
Well, and you can see there the focused face from Bradley Holly that we are very used to seeing, but I think he's a little angry as well.
That was Jeffrey Smith hitting the wall, coming back onto Shoreline on the reverse way. Oh, no, he hit the back. It was Duchesne hitting the wall, and he hit the back of Duchesne.
So again, another big checkup moment here, Joe, is we are learning with these MX-5s, it's not just you making sure you stay off the wall, but you've got to be hyper aware of the drivers in front of you. If they check up, that's a one-way ticket into you getting into the back of them.
Yeah, it's been such tight fighting out here. So Holly now up to 12th, and he's already got Duchesne just in front of him. Duchesne, after that little bit of contact with the tire barrier, I'm not sure if that car is 100%.
Yeah, it may be a little bit. You can obviously see that wing mirror just kind of hanging off of the side there. Bradley Holly, wow, you can't get a whole lot closer to the wall, but he's going to move his car to the right and make that move on Danny Duchesne.
And Holly's car isn't looking that spick and span either. Once again, it's going to be who can brake latest down into the first turn. So Duchesne's on the inside, but he doesn't seem to have the speed as Bradley Holly's got a nose ahead. Can he get this job done? And he does. And something's happened to Kaelin. Kaelin's in pit lane. Has he wrecked out?
I believe he has massive front-end damage to that car, Joe. I'm not sure where he did it, but your leader has wrecked out of this race here at Long Beach. There you can see it, the front car destroyed.
It happened into Toyota turn. He was under attack from Ryan Kings, braked too late. Here is the replay. Kings just psyched him out. Look at this.
Oh, and that's so easy to do. The front tires just locking up there, no grip to be had, and hard into that wall. Backs it up, and I think when he was going back in reverse, he just felt that he probably messed up the steering on that car. Let's ride on board. Yeah, there you can see it tries to turn it in and then tries to take to the escape road, but it was just too little too late.
Wow. Yeah, and the car whips around, so yeah, he must have broke something on there with that hit. So Ryan Kings, now your leader, after we thought his qualifying seemed a little bit strange, certainly has got the verve today to try and be aggressive. And Raymond Day is the car you see behind him in the black. That is about 0.4 of a second with the same distance back to Peter Newhook. And then Bergquist, the last one of this quartet.
And I will say Raymond Day's looked a little aggressive here as you see Ryan Kings taking a very defensive line down into Toyota. But Day, I think, really wants to get by. Newhook looks a little bit more patient, letting this race come to him to the best of his abilities. There's a little bit of the concertina through the fountain. But this is going to get very spicy up at the front. These are a lot of hungry drivers. Day, in particular, I think, really wants to try to assert some dominance here.
And let's not forget that we have a pit stop during this race that has got to happen. Now, in other series here in the PRL, we've seen them able to sometimes stretch it without a pit stop in some cars, but I'm not sure if the MX-5 is fast enough that he can really save fuel as we watch Newhook's perspective from third.
Yeah, and you can see real big lean into the corner there with the iRacers lean, just fully throwing himself around, looking in the mirror. Oh, here comes Raymond Day thinking about an attack down Seaside Way.
He's got a great run. Kings cannot cover him off. He's going to have to give him the inside into the corner. Is he going to fight it? He is. And they go wheel to wheel all the way through. Will this carry on into the hairpin? No. Starting to lift. Ryan Kings finally decides that's enough of that.
Well, and there you can see super wide exit into the corner, hoping to minimize wheel spin and really get a good blast off of the hairpin. He may have a little bit of it.
So, as we come down into Toyota once again, Kings last time went on the attack and managed to make the pass without having to make the pass. But this time, he's going to have to go all around the outside as Day defends. He's going to be slightly ahead. And here we go again, down into the corner. Oh, and he just gets fed in, and Day gets spun, as well as does Bergquist, or no, Newhook. Bergquist goes through, and as our new leader, Kings, is able to keep going, but it all unraveled for our leaders.
He has got some serious damage to that car, I think, but Kevin Bergquist just being patient there and allowing the race to come to him. He has reaped the benefits of it.
And poor Newhook, just kind of the innocent victim trying to squeak by as those two wrecked. He had probably the worst hit of anybody in that corner. So it is now Bergquist, Kings, and Cabana has been promoted up into third.
And Cabana's not too far off of this pack. He's about 1.8 seconds. So if these two start to battle a little bit, that 774 of Cabana will be able to be pulled into this fight.
So it looks like not going to have a pass down into Firestone this time. Let's take a look at the replay on that incident into turn one. The first thing that came to mind on this one here, DJ, is a couple years ago, the F3 series here in the PRL saw the lead change hands twice with wrecks like that.
Yeah, I had the same thought. I think it was actually the first race we may have covered here for the PRL at Long Beach, but just a little bit of a squeeze, neither driver wanting to give room, and I'm not really sure what Ryan Kings was supposed to have done there. He was pinched onto the line, just had no space to go.
Yeah, he was racing fair, but it's kind of one of the dangers that you get trying to go side by side into that corner. The 77, yeah, ran him out of road a little bit. Poor Newhook just finding himself facing the wrong way and has since taken a tow into pit lane. Bergquist up ahead, and Kings doesn't look like he's really got the pace here. I wonder if he's dealing with some leftover damage off of that.
Trying to take a look at the car, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of cosmetic damage, minus the two floppy ears that used to be functioning wing mirrors on the car. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's just got a little bit of it.
Yeah, looking like a little puppy dog as it tries to limp its way around, as the 43 about 1.1 seconds off of Kevin Bergquist. That last lap, well, the last one was not representative because that was the one with the incident. So we'll have to watch this one to see what kind of pace he's running. As we got the 00 of Baron Hilton side by side. This is Todd Lewis to his outside. Hilton there in the inside with the red and whites, yes, red, black, and white, and it looks like he is not going to be able to make this one stick. Todd Lewis tries to come back around the outside, looking to take that blue number 919 as deep as it can go, and he's going to keep fighting, still carrying it on, coming down to the hairpin, and this is where it finally settles out into single file. Lewis taking 13th away, and we've got, I think, a scheduled stopper with Peter Muirhead on the lane.
Yeah, we do indeed. This is a little bit on the early side of that pit window, Joe, but I anticipated extending from about now until around 25 minutes or so into this race. That's normally when we tend to see it.
Well, it looks like we've got at least a brief moment to have a chat with one of our drivers that has unfortunately left early, and that is Mark Kaelin from the 62. And he's gotten a first-hand experience of some of the chaos that we've been witnessing out there. Mark, we kind of knew it was going to be a bit of a rough race with the nature of this track, but did you expect it to quite go this way?
Honestly, yeah, I did. I expected it to be a tight battle. I wasn't expecting to get run into on the first turn, but, you know, things like that do tend to happen every now and then.
Obviously, it's unfortunate. It looked like it was very hard racing between you and Ryan. We were a bit surprised at his speed. Did you expect him to be this quick here at this track?
I really don't know. I don't know him well enough to be able to judge what his speed might be. Honestly, I was looking forward to having a battle with him like that. And coming down that front stretch, I saw him going to the inside, and I just took my eyes off of the braking boards and broke way too late. Ended my race.
Well, will we at least get to see come back when we head off to, I believe it is Spa next week, I think?
Oh, yes, I will definitely be back. I was a little surprised I got a pole tonight, so I'll work at it and try and repeat that next week and this time finish the race.
Well, bring out your slipstreaming skills. I think you'll need it there, and commiserations.
All right, thank you, guys.
That was Mark Kaelin, DNF today after putting it on pole. So, as we are currently watching the battle between Duchesne and Jeffrey Smith, this is for 7th on track. Two very different lines coming off of turn 5 between the pair of them. And in the background, the yellow machine, Malcolm Foster, who has gained from 19th to 10th just by staying clean.
Well, sometimes that is the way to get good results here at Long Beach. But yeah, as we watch Jeffrey Smith just working on Danny Duchesne to the best of his abilities here, doesn't get the run off of Pine Avenue and onto Seaside Way that he would like, and that's going to halt his momentum for now.
So as we jump a little bit forward, looks like Bradley Hawley managing to steadily but surely start to get himself into the top 5. 184 is now focusing on Jason Larson there in that orange number 13, and he's got a good slipstream along Shoreline Drive. Is this going to be another pass for him?
I certainly think it might be. He looks like he's got it on Larson. He's going to dive to the inside, just has to brake a little bit later. I think that was a car off up ahead. I'm not sure who that was exactly, but able to get it right, and that's an easy pass for Bradley Hawley.
Okay, 4th place now. 7 seconds behind Bergquist. Could he maybe run Bergquist down for the lead here? Certainly seems like the car's still got pace despite a little bit of damage on it. And he's still got about 18 minutes left on the clock to try and do it. I think the only scheduled stop that I am seeing so far is Cowgill. Muirhead's was not. He was in for about a minute. That was a long, long stop for him. And, well, actually, Cowgill is now trying to get a position back just now as he's working on Giselle.
Yes, he is. So this is just trying to go down to the inside. Not normally an area where you'd see him be able to do that there coming right out of the pits like that, but a good move for Patrick Cowgill.
Yep, that is up to 16th. Oh, we've had an incident. Hilton and was that Fendick? I think it was. Coming off of Takati turn. Looks like there's multiple pieces of contact in this one too. Todd Lewis able to avoid it and get away. So here's the replay of this one. That is Fendick behind. Or no, Fendick ahead, actually. Hit him once and then hit him a second time.
Yeah, I think what happened there is that Hilton was trying to go for a little bit more of an inside line. The first one, yeah, let's watch this. The first contact here is just misjudging the braking zone, pushed out a little bit, and then I think Fendick a little bit of a pinch there coming through the Tecate turn, and that's what threw him off and really scuppered the both of their races here.
Well, he was wearing a 49ers helmet, but unfortunately he can't quite get those Hail Marys to work sometimes here as we now check with Bradley Hawley, who's finished his pit stop. Where's Patrick Cowgill? Cowgill's just coming down now. This is actually going to be close, I think. Both drivers have finished their pit stops, and it looks like Hawley's going to be able to get him.
Yes, he is, and so I think this is a really good strategy here from Bradley Hawley. He's got himself a nice little gap in the road up to Randy Gross to the tune of about 9-10 seconds, and he can just focus on putting in some good hot laps here. He was only a couple of seconds behind Ian Cabana, and so by just finding that gap in the air and just being able to put this car into full charge mode, he may be looking at a podium here. That's not out of the realm of possibility.
It'll be an excellent recovery if he manages that. Ahead of him, he's got a number of cars that are kind of line astern. This is it right here. This is all for position. That's Fendick in front of Pete Thomas, who is in front of Baron Hilton, with Galinotto and Gross also in tow. Nobody able to make an overtake down into Firestone, at least this time amongst them.
Yeah, nobody looking for it there. I'm getting the sense that it's a lot of patience here. They're going to Constantina up a lot going into the hairpin as everybody dives onto the brakes. Is that a little bit of a move to the pits? No, it's not. I thought that was maybe out of Thomas, but in the back there, that is Randy Gross opting to come down pit lane.
That makes sense to me. If he sees all that action in front of him, might as well try and pit now. And he's actually, has he lost both of his wing mirrors? It looks like the car is missing something. That is a strange look.
Well, and he's got some damage to the right front hood of the car, and you can see the right rear drooping just a little bit, so he's definitely had some problems.
Wonder if they have the ability to do those repairs if he sits in there and tries to take some of them. But we come back up to Thomas now. Pete in the green, number 99, still seeing if he can get by Fendick, who also is probably dealing with a little bit of damage of his own. But Thomas, if I recall, had some contact coming into this very corner as well in the first or second lap of this race. Not so this time as they fire onto Pine Avenue and up and over the crest.
Up and over the crest. Now for Thomas, this is going to be the crucial corner. He's a little bit later on the brakes, but it allows him to get a better run off of the line and onto Seaside Way. He's starting to close that gap down a little bit. You can see him poking his nose. He's going to try to go around the outside here of the Firestone turn.
Big defense there from Fendick, and he's very slow into it. Almost 3 wide there for a moment as Baron Hilton picks up the pieces, and instead of an attack, it became a defense, and Thomas loses out.
Not a great one there for Thomas. And, ooh, that was a bad line for Baron Hilton. So Pete Thomas may be able to try for a little bit of fight back here. Well, he would if he and his teammate Jason Larson wouldn't be diving down pit lane.
Actually, Larson's already in pit lane. That was Galinotto and Thomas that came in. Cabana and Larson are already on their way rolling. And I think they should be overtaken by Bradley Hawley here, because Larson was battling with Hawley before the pit stops. And there he goes.
Indeed. So Bradley Hawley continuing to put in those good lap times again and again. That 184 just showing a whole lot of speed.
Have to give him credit for really putting his foot down and trying to make up for that unfortunate mistake and, well, situation, because the initial incident wasn't really his fault. Just everything came together, and then when he tried to return, caused a little bit of a checkup behind him. Meanwhile, look at Hilton here, really is interested in overtaking Fendick and has been working on him for some laps now. Once again, a defensive line. Very poor exit because of that, and I think this time Hilton has enough of a drag that he should be through.
Yeah, and you saw Fendick there actually cutting that chicane. Depending on where his tires were, he may have gotten a 1X from it. Yeah, Hilton on the way through. That is actually a little bit of a trick. If you remember that Max Chilton was using at this track, and I believe St. Petersburg as well, a number of years ago in the IndyCar series when they visited.
Yeah, so used to the F1 rules. If you're not told you can't do it, take advantage of it and do it until they tell you not to, as Fendick finally comes into pit. Malcolm Foster does as well. Hilton stays out. So that once again will put Hawley ahead of everybody who has pitted and up into 7th place, but he's waiting for Berquist, Kings, Boucher, Duchesne, Smith, and Hilton to finally take their stops.
Indeed he is, and looking at about the pit time here, it's about a 16-second or so pit stop, 55 seconds cone to cone. So I believe that means Bradley Hawley is very easily going to be looking at 3rd place. He may even have a shot at 2nd here.
Let's take a glance at our 2 leaders. Well, actually, we do need to, because they just pitted. Berquist and Kings both in, really maximizing that pit entry. Is this the end of the pit window then?
It certainly looks to be that way, and it's just about at what I thought, Joe. 24 minutes down in this race. So there you can see it. Bradley Hawley, just for an update on where he compares to the leaders, he is coming down Seaside Way right now into the Firestone turn.
Yeah, so he's a bit far back, but I'm awful curious to see how close he'll get. We get more drivers in. Duchesne, Smith, now coming down. Berquist is done. Kings is done.
All right, so that is going to stay in order. It does look like that Kings was able to gain a couple of tenths of a second. There is Bradley Hawley. I think he's easily going to have Jacques Boucher and get himself onto the podium. Hawley coming across the start-finish line right now. You should just see him in the back of your shot here.
There he is. Yeah, just came around that corner, and there they go off in the distance around Toyota. So it looks like the gap is settling at about 5 seconds behind Ryan Kings. Not impossible in 10 minutes, but it'll take some really stellar laps out of him.
Yeah, it certainly will, and if anybody can pull that off, it is Bradley Hawley in these MX-5s. He has really taken to these cars quite well. Obviously, Hawley, we know a little bit more from the oval side of things. His fastest lap time it does look a little bit off. His fastest lap at a 32.93, Bergquist's fastest at 32.7, and King's fastest at 32.9 flat. So there is still some speed in those two up front.
Certainly. And you never know. Maybe now that Bradley Hawley has had at least a little bit of damage repair on that car, maybe it'll have a tiny bit more speed. But for the time being, Bergquist is looking like he might be our third different winner in 3 rounds. I think, what did we wind up with? Something in the realm of only 1 repeat winner all last season here in the MX-5s. I have to go back and check the stats, but it swapped around so much, was so close throughout, as the 64 is looking to add to his tally coming off the hairpin there. That's Larson chasing Cabana in the 774.
And this is the battle for the final spot in the top 5. Cabana currently holding on right now. He's able to get a very good run off of the hairpin and be able to gap out Jason Larson a little bit more.
Just can't quite reach him for now. Now, a lot of our battles kind of dissipated with that pit stop sequence. Really only ones that we've got is this that we see here, and then Newhook and Lewis. Well, they were close together, and Newhook's in pit lane.
That's very, very strange. Well, remember, he took an early stop. Yeah,
he had to take a tow, so he must not have been able to get to the end despite that that early incident. So that's why we're seeing him in again, which means he's going to have a few more drivers overtake him and probably looking at somewhere around 17th or 18th for today.
So a tough day out there for Peter Newhook, one of our drivers on camera. Just a quick update, by the way, as we watch our leader working around here. I've been keeping an eye on the gap between Ryan Kings and Bradley Hawley. It looks like right now Hawley has thus far on this lap lost about 0.3 of a second to the 43. So I'm not sure if he's going to be able to fully close this down.
I'm not seeing anybody with some wild pit stop times on fuel. So I don't think he's short fueled that time across. A 134 flat for him. Kings 33.6. So yeah, you're right, 0.4 faster. Hawley with a 34.3. So Hawley was actually slower than both of them once again, and by a good enough chunk that I'm not expecting him to be able to gain. There's Newhook back out on track. Yeah, I was right. About 17th spot for him, and he's 13 seconds behind Muirhead, so not expecting him to be able to gain much from here except for DNFs.
Yeah, he's just trying to salvage the best that he can at this point, and I certainly don't blame him. It's not out of the realm of possibility for some big incidents to still happen here, even though we are this late on in the race.
Indeed. So let's head on over to this battle between Larson and Cabana. Still on, still within about 0.8 of a second. And they head on to Pine Avenue themselves. Cabana started from 7th up 2 spots. Jason Larson, same deal, 8th to 6th here today.
Yeah, indeed. And for Larson here, I've been watching this battle as much as possible, and he's got speed over Cabana. His problem is he just can't get the power down out of the hairpin. He'll gain about 1/10 over the course of the lap, and then in the final sector, it'll just all go for naught as it slips away from him.
All right, back onto the main straight. Whoa! Almost contact there between Larson and Cabana for a moment. That was a bit strange. Thankfully did not come together, but look at how much distance there went from nearly touching to now up to speed at about 100 miles an hour, and they are separated by nearly 10 car lengths.
Yeah, the draft helping a little bit there for Jason Larson to be able to pull that gap down to under a second, but it just doesn't look like he has got the closing capabilities to really get that brightly painted Miata 13 closed in. Whoa, way off the mark there through the fountain section.
Thankfully, I don't think he actually hit the wall, but we might want to go to the leaders because I was looking at the last lap time. Bergquist, once again, 0.5 second slower than Ryan Kings. So Kings, who just clipped the wall there, coming on to Seaside Way. If he did touch it, it was very slight from what I can see on my replay. Oh, but he goes wide now. He might be overdriving the car. Getting a little eager now that he saw that he was getting closer and closer to the 64 and is giving away precious time.
Yeah, that gap was hovering at about 1 second. It's now up to about 1.25 seconds as they get their way onto the start-finish straight here, even though it is curved. But King's just, I think, running out of time, running out of grip to be able to get this move done.
I don't know. He was chopping off at half a second a lap there for a moment. So if he can get his stuff back together, he might be able to attack. He certainly looks like he's pushing. Just has to watch out for that limit because this is not a track that forgives easily.
No, it is not. As they come across, he's able to gain about 31 thousandths of a second in that first sector. Just needs to keep trying to push here and maybe see if he can just get up behind Berquist, try to flap the 64 a little bit, get him to make a mistake. Whoa, getting very close to that outside wall there.
3.5 minutes left on the clock. We're looking at about 2 or 3 laps left to go here. So Berquist will probably be leading the championship after that. After this, Holly will finish behind him if things stand as they are, and had 9 points coming in. Actually, you know, Holly might still be leading after this, now that I say that, as you can see just how much the cars can take of those inside curbs, really cutting across them, and that's considered fair and part of the racing line here at Long Beach. Out and around to the hairpin once again. They are really almost touching the outside wall off of that tight right-hander.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of drivers doing that and just trying to carry as much momentum as you can through the hairpin, crossing over the line. I believe that's going to be 2 to go for these drivers on that last lap. Kings was about 0.28 of a second faster, so he's closing here, and the gap now down to about 8 tenths.
And another battle erupting once again. This time Larson with a great exit and a bit of slipstream. Oh, do we have a problem off the hairpin for a moment? We'll have to go back to that. For the 27, it sounds like. Oh, and despite having such a great run, Larson doesn't like how it looks and he backs out.
And I can tell you that Ryan Kings just made heavy contact with the wall coming out of the fountain area. A big, big hit for him on that left side, and that cost him about 0.2 of a second.
And that incident that we saw with Duchesne was very strange. He's done what I've done a few times. If you're on a single screen, seeing the inside wall can be difficult. And he hit the inside wall instead of the outside wall, trying to get too greedy.
Oof.
Take a look at it, actually.
Yeah, let's jump back and check out this replay. If he is on a single screen monitor, Joe, I think that's exactly what he did here.
It's an embarrassing incident. Yeah, you can see just, he thought, okay, I'm going to really cut in on this one. Well, you can only cut in so far because there's concrete there.
Yeah, and so that'll definitely slow him down a little bit, as they say. Meanwhile, gap up front, despite the contact, Ryan Kings has gotten it down to 0.7 of a second, but only 1 lap to get it done here.
Yeah, 0.2 at a time is not going to do it. He will start to feel the effects of the slipstream, but the 2 spots that it happens is on Seaside Way and on the front stretch, and that finish line comes pretty early on the front stretch, so you could call that one a bit null and void. Still down to 0.6 of a second. He gained there through the fountain section, 0.5 of a second now. Does he have something?
Well, this is where he's really got to get good speed down. He needs to nail the Tecate turn onto Pine Avenue and then really get good acceleration onto Seaside Way. Gap hovering at about 0.5 of a second here as they work their way through the corner.
Up onto Seaside Way now. He's got to really launch himself if he wants something. Otherwise, a pass after this is going to be too difficult, and he is not close enough. He's got it down to 0.5 of a second. But it was too little too late unless he can get a mistake out of the 64 in these last few corners. Berquist trying to stay cool in the red, white, and blue car at the front. That number 64 car has one last turn to go down through the hairpin, and he is clean. It looks like Kevin Bergquist is going to be your winner here today at Long Beach.
Yeah, and there you can see Ryan King's nose it just doing a little bit of weaving back and forth, and it is Bergquist that takes the checkered flag ahead of Ryan King's. Behind them, we focus back on this battle with Cabana and Larson.
Holly manages to get a third place. Great recovery there. Really chucking it in. I think Larson was trying to square off the exit, but it was not to be. He'll get a little bit of a toe, but not enough straightaway to go past Cabana here. So nice job for Ian getting fifth rather. And behind them, not really much in the way of battles left to go. So let's head through our finishing order. And it looks like we've got Kevin Bergquist as our third winner in 3 rounds. Ryan Kings will finish second today. It might be a little controversial with some of that opening stuff. We'll see what he has to say about it if we get to chat with him. Bradley Hawley was third, and then Patrick Cowgill from 10th to 4th. Nicely done, Patrick. Ian Cabana, 5th place for him, as Jason Larson was 6th, and Jacques Boucher 7th, and as Danny Duchesne in P8, and Jeffrey Smith 9th. Malcolm Foster rounds out your top 10 up 9 spots.
Up 1 on the day was Baron Hilton, who came home in 11th, followed by Pete Thomas and Robert Gallinotto, with Parker Muirhead in 14th and Dan Fendick in 15th. Peter Newhook, despite all that damage, was able to stay on the lead lap in 16th. Now we get into some drivers that were a lap down: Mark Kaelin and Randy Gross. Todd Lewis 2 laps down, and Raymond Day 14 laps down, a non-finisher here on the day.
Yep, rest of them DNFs, unfortunately. But we do have our winner ready to talk to us, Kevin Bergquist, who started things off from 4th on the grid, had a good view of the opening melee down into the first corner, with Kings absolutely sailing it through. So I have to ask, Kevin, I know our eyes bugged out when Kings suddenly shot up to fight for the lead at the first corner. Did it surprise you?
It was pretty interesting going through that first turn, but we managed to survive. So,
well, and speaking of survival, you managed to survive the second incident down through the first turn involving King and the leader. What was going through your head when you saw that unfold, and especially when you came out the other side with the lead?
they were really going at it pretty hard, and I was kind of holding back just a little bit watching it, and boy, the seas just parted. I managed to get a hole right through the middle, and yeah, from there it was just trying to stay consistent with my laps.
Sometimes the racing gods just smile upon you, I suppose, and you did stay incredibly consistent. Were you nervous at all as Ryan started to approach towards the end?
Yeah, he was definitely catching me good at the end, and probably with 3 or 4 to go, I actually caught one of the walls, and it definitely had me slowed down in a straight line. If we had a couple more laps, I'm pretty sure Ryan would have got me.
From what we're hearing in the background, that's his assessment as well. But congratulations on your first win this season. Anybody you want to give a thank you to?
Yeah, just really want to thank the guys at PRL. Well, what a great league this is. I mean, everybody racing is so much fun. So really just enjoying it. And thank you guys for all the coverage. Watching these is so much fun afterwards.
Oh, well, thank you very much. We have fun calling them, and we appreciate the kind words. And that was our winner, Kevin Bergquist, in the 64 Miata, taking the win here tonight. Behind him in third, it was Bradley Hawley, as DJ has caught up with him.
I have indeed, Bradley, and it's another day. Another day you've kind of had to fight your way back through the field, but after that start, you got to be pretty happy to be in third.
Yeah, for the most part. You know, just not happy for how that started with having a lap 1, turn 1 hero causing all kinds of mayhem. But other than that, decent race.
Well, when you found yourself around there and coming back up, I mean, were you focused on just setting good laps, or were you on a little bit of a charge? It looked like you had a little bit of the red mist there for a second.
I had the road miss the whole time. I got put in the wall coming out of the hairpin, and I think that gave me some suspension damage. So I wasn't going to be as fast as I was in practice or qualifying, but I had to do damage control from there.
Well, as we turn our eyes to next week, we head to Spa. Is that going to be a place you think that it's going to be less damage limitation and more just an all-out attack for you?
We'll see. I'm going to be on full attack. I'm probably going to see red mist for the rest of the season. After today, I know Peter didn't do anything wrong when he made contact with me because I had to check up for Ryan. But it's a draft track. So it's going to be who can stay on track and not have slowdowns and not spin out.
Well, I know I'm looking forward to watching it. I always love races at Spa. But anybody you'd like to thank for the run here today?
I have to thank Waterback guys. We practice week in, week out, trying to make sure we're up there and trying to be as competitive as possible. You guys for broadcasting us week in and week out. And all the organizers in the PRL. We work hard to make these races as fun and fair as possible.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations on a third place, Bradley.
Thank you.
Well, that was Bradley Holly, your third place finisher. Joe?
Yeah, could hear just a little bit of consternation in his tone. We'll see what becomes of all that as we get ready to take off for Phillip Island. Make sure and stick around because the PRL GT3 Pro-Am Series is coming your way in just a moment.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com You can always reach us. If you have any questions, you can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an advanced sim racing customer.
Welcome to Phillip Island Circuit down in Australia. We are getting ready to watch the PRL GT3 Pro-Am Series, but this is a track that is probably more well known to Australians than Americans, so why don't we head on over to our track guide to give you a little introduction. Welcome to Phillip Island. As the name implies, this track is located on a splotch of land off the south coast of Australia near Melbourne. While there's been plenty of racing here for close to a century, the track's current incarnation has only been around since the late 80s. And this version is a doozy. With only 12 turns spread across the roughly 4.5 kilometers, it's a decently fast circuit. But what really makes this place stand apart is the incredible variety in those few corners. From negative to positive camber, early apexes, late apexes, blind crest, hairpins, sweepers, if you name it, it's probably got it. On top of that, the front stretch tends to offer up a slipstream with its incredible length, but it then forces the drivers into a game of chicken by chucking them into the frightening Buin. Corners like Lukey Heights stretches a car's grip to the limit and then shocks you with a sudden downhill braking into MG. Retaining something of an old-school twist, unlike most modern courses, Phillip Island has earthen embankments running along many parts of the track. While it's meant to keep the cars safely retained within the circuit's confines, anyone unfortunate enough to manage to jump them will be faced with a ton of damage for their troubles. A variety of types of racing take place at the track, including motorcycles, lower-level open-wheelers, and touring cars. Possibly the most well-known among those is the Australian Supercars Championship. With the Aussie reputation of having dangerous, difficult, and challenging circuits, Phillip Island certainly holds up to the standard. The beautiful views of the beach and the ocean may lure some of the fans in, but there's no doubt that the incredible racing at this unique track keeps them around. We go from the tight and wall-laden Long Beach here to Phillip Island, DJ, which is a little more open, but I think no less tricky.
Very, very true, Joe. It is a truly unique track out there with a whole bunch of different corners to throw at you. Your best overtaking opportunities probably going to be trying to be a little aggressive going down into the southern loop or sticking it out into that tight right-handed hairpin that is Honda. You can see a move or two done into MG, but with the way that corner is just so steeply downhill, you're going to be a little bit more checked up trying to make sure that you're not locking up the front tires. The draft is going to be very, very crucial around here, coming out through Swan, which is turn 12, and down the long Gardner Straight. And I think with these GT3s, you're going to have to watch out for a little bit of aero wash, specifically coming up through Hayshed and in through Lukey Heights. You may see some drivers taking a little bit of alternate lines through there to make sure that they are able to get full grip on the front ends of these cars.
Now, if we take a look at the points, this is going to take a little bit of explaining, because if you see Krasowski down there in third place and are thinking, well, wait a minute, I thought he won last round. He did, but he got penalized for some of his shenanigans, shall we call it, on the base lap that caused some confusion amongst drivers. And because of that points penalty, he is tied for third instead with Elliott White. So Trepanier leads by a single point over Menino, and then Vicente Sepulveda rounds out your top five. That's for the pro drivers, though. This is a Pro-Am series. So, DJ, what do the AMs look like?
Well, it's still very close at the top with Alexandre Breton. They're up only 3 points up on Edward Nelson, and Tommy Brisson only 5 points back of them. Then a tie for fourth place between Dewey Kang and Jean-Claude Langlois.
As for the team's championship, You're Dismissed barely holds on to the top spot over ASR Esports by 1 point. And then it's close as well between NTR Motorsports and Precision Blue, as well as SRT Esports, Black Granite in our top 5, probably about the biggest distance from anybody on this slide. And for those unfamiliar with the series, DJ, why don't you run us down the race details?
Well, it's going to be a little bit longer of a race than last round, a 40-minute race, an open setup here. So that means that your teammates are really going to come into play and being able to set up the car to your liking. It will also be important on a track like this if you're trimmed out or trimmed down. You do get those penalties at 13 incidents, disqualified at 17, and there are bonus points available for fastest lap pole and 3 incidents or less.
Right now, they're working on the pole position, and Kazuki Fujita is our provisional pole sitter with barely a quarter of a tenth of a second. Over the next car, make that Daniel Krasowski, who puts himself up on the top spot in the first lap and parks it immediately, get himself some fresh tires, and rolls back out. Now, they get 4 laps to try and do it. Interesting to see him basically abandon it after the first time.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at that, Joe. I mean, it's only 87 degrees out on track right now, and that would tend me to believe that the tires aren't going to be that bad in terms of degradation. Currently, as there you can see, though, the typical very strong winds here at Phillip Island, 7 miles an hour. Those will be gusting all day, 50% humidity. So pretty perfect day for racing, to be honest.
Oh, and Dave Menino just took the spot away from Krasowski, but he does the same thing. So it looks like maybe that is the call. 2 fastest guys immediately park it after they get a pole and head back into the pits to try and take fresh tires. Looks like Fujita just went across the line. He was not able to improve, so he'll have 1 last lap as he also parks the car and puts some fresh rubber on. Kevin Norris and Trepanier are still out there. It looks like Trepannier's on an out lap, and we're watching Arnaud Genet on screen in the 312 Lamborghini coming down into Honda.
Indeed, this looks like a pretty straightforward hairpin, Joe, but it's a lot wider than you anticipate it to be. You've got to be very, very late on the throttle application, and then even wider is Siberia. It's all about just rolling that momentum. You don't want to lose a single mile an hour of speed, because then it's the power section flat out in these GT3s up through the little kink that is turn 7, the harder kink that is Hayshed, and then the long left-hander uphill that is Lukey Heights, and he loses it.
Too long for that Lambo, and he'll go around and into the gravel. So that's his 3rd lap that is done. He'll have to come back down, start his last attempt. So we take a look at the BMW coming around the southern loop. This is looking at the likes. Let's see, who have we got on screen here? This is the 33 of Krasowski back out there. And his last lap, a 34.9, so not terribly great from him, but he's at least going to take the 2nd in a row this time. And up through Siberia, he looks to me to be 2 tenths down on his best lap, so not sure that this will do the job.
No, it doesn't look like he's exactly getting it down here, but the strength of the BMW is really going to be on the long straightaway here. The BMW tends to be pretty quick in a straight line, as does the Lamborghini. I'm not surprised to see Vincent Trepanier and Kevin Norris in those Audis up at the top, as the 2nd and 3rd sectors of this track really going to favor that nimble machine.
All right, Krasowski still showing down on his best lap on my screen. We'll see if that's accurate as he comes to the line. And if he doesn't manage to go quicker, that is his qualifying over. He does go quicker at 26.242, and that is pulled back away from Menino.
Back away by 17 thousandths of a second. Dave Menino needs to respond here, and Fujita as well out on track, trying to see if he's got, Fujita and Menino both not out on track, so they're not probably going to have time to respond.
Trepanier, Olivier, and Norris have all taken their 4 laps. They're done. Genet's the first one to be able to respond, sitting in 7th, and he's got to make up 3.5 tenths. In fact, looked a little wobbly coming out of the penultimate turn and down into Swan. looks like he is also off of his best from my timing and scoring, but maybe again we are getting a false reading on that. Crosses the line, 26.6, not an improvement.
Looking at Vincent Trepanier, who's about to cross over the line right now. He is unable to improve as well. Jumping back to the 127. This is Tremblay bringing the car to a halt. That is his 4 laps done. He'll be in 16th.
Cody Hatch finishing, and that isn't any quicker for him. I think the next one across going to be Kwok Nin, who currently sits in 21st. So he's got this final chance to try and do it. 4th lap of his set. And the BMW a little bit off the apex in the penultimate turn. Not sure this is going to be a quick one.
I'm not sure either. And that those final corners there coming off of MG11, it's such a tricky corner to get right. I only get it right about every 18th time I take a lap around this circuit. Kwok Nin going to cross over the line about 5/10 off of his best, so he will not improve. Only other driver I'm seeing out on track is Tyler Campbell.
And he is on his final lap. Looks like he's got enough time to get around. So let's stick with the 23 to see if he can bring that Ferrari into the top 20. No, it looks a little slow here. Or he's off the racing line at the very least. It's a very strange line that he was taking there. And yeah, he's about 3 seconds off of his best time from what it looks like. So not sure that this will make much of a difference, and it does not. Okay, then. Looks like our grid is set for our Pro-Ams here in the GT3 series. And up at the front of it, Daniel Krasowski, another bonus for pole position. Got to think that hopefully figured out how these starts are supposed to go and actually takes off when the pace car goes this time. Dave Menino will be starting next to him as Kazuki Fujita will be in 3rd. Vincent Trepanier starts from P4 as Dominic Olivier will be 5th and Kevin Norris in 6th. You've got Arnaud Genet P7 and J.R. Williams in 8th. The pole sitter for the AMs is Diego Moraes in 9th, followed by Sean Dickinson, another pro, in 10th.
Starting off in 11th, it's going to be Teddy Lowendick, followed by Jordan Kuntz with Tommy Brisson and Juan Benitez in 14th. Edward Nelson will be starting off in 15th, followed by Jean-Marc Tremblay with Jeremy Gonzalez and Danik Van Dale in 18th. And then row 10 will be Vincente Sepulveda and Jerome Bethune.
Kwok Nin only good enough for 21st this time as Jean-Claude Langlois starts from 22nd and Tyler Campbell 23rd. Marc-Andre Desjardins, P24 for him, followed by Alexander Breton in 25th. Then you've got Alan Roth to his outside, followed by Josh Schlade in 27th. John Jarek, Dewey Kang, and Cody Hatch for the last 3 to set times. Aaron Webb does not look to be in the session right now, so not sure that he'll take to the track, and we will probably have a 30-car field here today. Of them, we got a few onboards this time, quite a few onboards. So starting with Arnaud Genet as one of ours. You see him ready to go for this one. And after that, you've got Kevin Norris as well, who is going to be starting from the top 10 out here. Then you've got Teddy Lowendick. Will do Shui for P3 or better. Okay, we're going to hold you to that. This will be interesting. And of course, looks like he's got his Columbus hockey hat on there. And finally, we've got Aaron Webb with us. One of our AM drivers going to be starting. Oh, he is actually starting this race, looks like, from 31st. So we have all 31 drivers out there today. And finally, you have Kwok Nin, who is back once again with the time machine ready to go. So there is our 5 onboards as the pace car now starts to take off. Here's the real question, DJ. What do you think is going to be in the shoey? Is it going to be champagne or something else?
I mean, I would say champagne or Red Bull is the way to do it. Those are the 2 things that we've seen the shoey been done out of most. So I think it just depends on what time of day we get Teddy to do the shoey.
Also have to wonder, does that include an AM? Well, no, he's, excuse me, pardon me. He is in pro. So that's not an AM poll for him. That would be the pro. Overall top 3 is what he'd be looking for here today. So keep an eye on him. The good news for those who want to see that shoey, Teddy was actually pretty quick in the warm-up.
Yeah, he really, really was. And as I said, I anticipate the Audi being pretty quick around here, specifically in the second and third sectors. A lot of grip in that car, tends to be a little bit darty. I think specifically you can see some good moves getting done by it going down into Honda and MG. But watch out for those Lamborghinis and BMWs on the straightaway. They're going to have some fearsome speed. The only switchback may be is they may have had to dial in a little bit more downforce than the likes of, say, that Audi or the Ferrari drivers to try to claw some grip back as they go through.
The one good news that they have, you mentioned the weather earlier, the 87 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface. That's pretty good. But also, this track kind of known being right next to the ocean for having incredible and finicky winds. But we don't really have that today. It does look like it's changing slightly, but it's very mild winds. So hopefully that'll stay low and they won't have to keep an eye on the windsocks throughout the course.
No, and of course, as we say that, it goes from 5 to 10 miles an hour worth of wind. But yeah, that's the biggest thing about it, is the fact that it tends to gust. It's not a consistent wind around here. It comes and goes, so you can get thrown off by it quite easily.
And especially if you get that headwind down the front stretch, it means that the draft is going to be all the more powerful. It is a lot longer than you think, especially with that fast run off of Swan Curve that shoots the drivers onto the pit straight. But here we go. Krasowski with his second pole of the season. This time staying nice and tight to the back of that pace car. Pulls off, waiting for the green flag. Next to him, Menino giving watch. This time he is holding them, and there he goes. Green flag is out, and Krasowski's got a great start. Jumps ahead of Menino, as it looks like Fujita's also going to slot into third.
Trepanier looking for a way to slot over, but not really given the chance by Olivier. They're able to get that Porsche up one position. We've got a little bit of a fight starting to brew for the lead, though, is Dave Menino trying to drive that Lamborghini around the outside, and that is Kevin Norris and the Audi behind doing the same thing.
And Fujita's going to be able to get to the inside of Menino with that attack that he made. Nice move by the 33. The Canadian driver, the Japanese driver finds himself in a nice spot here in second. Another spot potentially lost by Menino as an attack from Olivier gets rebuffed into Honda.
And that's going to give a little bit of an opportunity there, I think, for Trepanier. He thought about it, but not able to go for it as we focus in on Fujita, moving his way forward, just trying to tuck up behind. Now, let's see if he decides to take a little bit of a different line coming up through Hayshed and Lukey Heights, just trying to get a little bit more fresher air onto that wing. Looks like that Lambo is able to keep the traditional racing line, so I think he's going to be okay downforce-wise.
Norris giving us a good view on this one from 6th place back there, as he can see all those leaders up ahead in that 774. So on to the front stretch as they complete lap one. Your order is Krasowski, Fujita, and Menino. Here is the view from Norris as he watches using that VR headset to try to give himself the best perspective along the Gardner Straight. Not seeing anybody really making big inroads on the slipstream right now.
No, not really, but there you can see one of the closer ones was Arnaud Genet, who's now going to try to go around the outside a little bit, but that did not work. Goes for the over-under. That's a heck of a move for Genet if he can get it to stick. Power down off of the southern loop, and he's just about got it.
And Norris just slipped a little bit wide there, and that opened the door. So Genet ahead of him could fight back into Honda. No, he's got to play defense because J.R. Williams taking a peek on him. The Porsche lifts out of it.
Yeah, seeing a lot of respectful driving here. Lambo v. Lambo, though, with Menino and Genet. Genet trying to go for 2 and 1 lap there, but not able to get it done. He's going to have to slot in behind. Not going to have an opportunity to make an overtake here until they really get up into MG.
Dave's not had the best of starts, from second on the grid on the front row, and now he's back to 5th position. Genet already challenging him. He could fall out of the top 5. Actually has to go defensive, or feels the need to, down into MG.
Yeah, he is really starting to slip here as he's trying to get around. But Dave Menino, I think, the one to be very afraid. There they get that big power on here onto the main straightaway as we ride on board.
This is Genet that we're seeing as he follows in line behind Minato. But once again, Slipstream doesn't look all that powerful out there on the track today. So he'll stay put. And in fact, I'm not seeing any position changes down the front stretch amongst anybody.
No, the closest we've got is Sean Dickinson right behind this, trying to put a move on J.R. Williams, but that was unsuccessful at the moment. Continue to watch Janae, as it looks like there that Kevin Norris was able to get a better run through the southern loop. Maybe thinking about a move going into Honda. No, they're all going to stay in line.
And what a line it is. Basically starts with Minato up there in 5th, travels all the way down. Where is a break? My goodness, it really doesn't have much of a break until you get to John Jarek in 26. That tells you how tightly packed things are.
A lot of drivers looking like they like this track, and that's a good sign for some good racing. Little bit run wide there for Janae. You saw him kick up a little bit of gravel. Braking now down into MG. You see those cars swing wide. Ooh, is that a good jump off of the line? No, it is not for Kevin Norris. He is not going to be able to get a move done.
Not quite there. Yeah, he's back by a full half second now. In fact, I think he's got to worry more behind because J.R. Williams looks like that Porsche might finally get something. And yep, he's got the slipstream. He's starting to pull him in. Does he dare try to take it too wide through Doohan? That is a scary corner to do single file, and nope, doesn't have the guts yet.
Doesn't have the guts here, but that little bit of a better line looking at a crossover, but that was Kevin Norris very, very wise to it, and that forced him offline. There's Sean Dickinson right up the inside.
Oof. Drivers are definitely feisty today in both series. Round the outside, J.R. Williams trying to defend. It's going to become the inside. Down into Honda, almost squeezes him off the track, just gives him enough width, and that means Dickinson stays put in 9th.
Dickinson looking particularly feisty in that Ferrari, and currently the top-placed Ferrari. Pretty good all-around cars, particularly fast in a straight line. That tends to be one of the advantages of that for the Prancing Horse model there, the 458 GT3 Evo. So watch out for that. Oh, as we've had somebody off, that is Breton off in the 89.
Yep, this was him making a little bit of side-to-side contact with John Jarek, and that sent him off. It actually promoted Teddy Lowendick up one into 26. And if you're wondering, wait a minute, 26, it was a terrible start for Ted. He went from 11th all the way down to 27th.
Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly happened there for Teddy. Lowendick is there. He goes around. That may have been what happened to him earlier, Joe.
Rear of that Audi just not agreeing with that hairpin of MG. He's going to get it back on track, and now he's down to 29th position at this stage. Let's head back to our leaders, though, because Fujita's cut this down to about 0.4 of a second. It was 0.2 along the front stretch. So Krasowski is going to have to fight for this one, despite having pretty good pace last time out when we were at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, indeed we are. It's not going to be an easy runaway. Fujita really keeping the pressure on as much as possible. It's a pretty even match here. I haven't really seen a whole lot of give and take between the drivers, but they've got to be a little bit careful. Olivier, not too far behind this, only about a second back. He can very easily close this down in that Porsche if these two really start to squabble.
That's J.R. Williams managing to get past Sean Dickinson. Sean's not giving up on it. He sticks right to the rear wing of that number 13. But as we said, it's hard to pass into MG, trying to follow in the buffeting air up through Lukey Heights. He's going to do it pretty well, but starts to wash out by the time they get to the end of it, and no chance yet.
And I like the line that Diego Moraes is running behind them. You can see that Audi really swinging as wide as possible into MG and then taking a just sort of diagonal line into the braking zone. That tends to allow you to carry a little bit more momentum, but it oftentimes can let the rear end of the car slip out a little bit and pop around. But he clearly has it under control, so kudos there, Tiago.
Oh, we got somebody off. Is this Aaron Webb? No, that's Aaron Webb is in a different one. This is Roth, actually. Alan Roth returning, and that is Aaron Webb that he just went by as well. So multiple drivers having what I think might be separate incidents. We'll try and investigate on that. And Moraes is off, and this is important because he was our AM leader. He's got somebody with him. That is Jordan Kuntz.
And I'm not entirely sure what happened on that, Joe. I just looked up and saw a lot of brake smoke, but commentators curse they're striking very, very hard for the 93.
He came together with Dickinson. Just unfortunately found himself making just slight contact, and Kuntz was just in a bad place at a bad time. And we got another off. Once again, is that Roth again?
Yes, it is.
With Gonsalves, who had to start this race late. He missed the grid and had to come from pit lane. So he's actually still on the lead lap, but unfortunately, he's had even worse woes now after that incident. We've got, I think, some replays ready. Let's see which one we're looking at first, because a lot has happened.
Indeed, it has, Joe, but this is that first incident coming through turn 11 with Webb. Oh, that was just a very, very loose car there from Roth, and Webb had to take avoiding action. I think he caught a little bit of the outside grass, and that's what sent him around.
Yeah, just a little bit of it, and that was enough that the Lamborghini did not like it, and it found the 34 facing the wrong way. Thankfully, didn't get beached there on that little crest. And this was our former AM leader. Yeah, just the littlest bit of contact and tried to get out of it. And poor Kuntz, who went to the outside, regretted that decision almost immediately.
Yeah, very much a hapless passenger there. It was Jordan Kuntz in that. And then we're going to jump back and check out this other incident. Is that just another... Oh, just...
Both off.
In perfect synchronicity.
Oh, I was going to say, are they going to hit each other? No, I think they managed to avoid each other somehow. But embarrassing mistake. Easy mistake, though, to do out of the southern loop because of how off camber that corner is. Oh, they did make just a little contact, but both able to get rolling. Moraes, unfortunately, I think that was a big enough hit from Kuntz that he's had to come into pit lane. So it looks like he's trying to take some repairs as we got a battle here with Sepulveda and Edward Nelson.
We do indeed, that is Sepulveda and Nelson trying to get it out. This is going to be big, I think, for Sepulveda. He should have a good draft. That is perfect coming off a Swan. Look for the move here coming down into Dewan.
The yellow and green car you saw flash by was Brisson taking a pit stop. That might be a little early, but braking hard down into Dewan as they try and sort this out. Sepulveda goes ahead of Edward Nelson, fighting behind him. Kwoknin gets shoved out a little bit. Can't find grip out there. There goes Tyler Campbell through.
Indeed, good heads-up play there for Tyler Campbell. Be able to move that Ferrari up. He is up 8 positions on the day, and now he's going to have his eyes set on Edward Nelson going down in a Honda. No, he backs out of it.
Wow, things are intense out on the track. Now, our new leader in the AM, for those curious, Juan Benitez, has inherited that. He's 10th overall. They see him on screen. Bizarre set of circumstances, honestly, with all the leaders in this evening's series, because even our winner in the GT AM, Moraes, of last round, he got penalized 11 points, and that's why Breton was winning. Oh, Menino's off. Menino is off, and he is going to fall even farther down the order. He had dropped with a horrible start to this race. He's out of the top 10, finally gets it going just as Sepulveda has to take avoiding action.
Very lucky there not to make any more contact around, but there, Sepulveda almost getting into blows there with, that is Menino chasing him. We've got another car off.
Looks like Jerome and the 217, unfortunately. Boy, there's been a lot of cars on that infield portion between the final 2 corners. Thankfully, he's going to be able to get rolling once again.
Yes, he is. As we jump back up here, this is the 55 out on track under hot pursuit.
Yes, and that is from his next driver down in the AM class, Danik Van Dale. So he really does not want to lose this one. Again, overall position still important, and a little bit of contact between Danik and Jean-Marc Tremblay behind him in that 127 BMW.
Yeah, just a little bit of misjudging of the braking there through Honda, but that'll separate out these cars, and it will give Benitez a little bit of breathing room here at this point from Danik. But as we've said, that BMW very quick in a straight line. What Benitez really needs to focus on here is just trying to maximize his second and third sectors as much as possible. Let that Ferrari do its thing and not try to worry too much. This is the exit he has got to get absolutely right as to not give any advantage back to Danik Van Dale.
Absolutely, and as I was saying, this is two separate classes, although they are all the same cars. This is just split by iRating as we get this battle coming down into the first corner. Once again, Fujita is giving Krasowski a heck of a time at today's race. But the pros and AMs are allowed to race one another. Even though the points are scored differently, there are still bragging rights on the line for overall finishing position. They are not expected to give way to the pros if you are an AM.
No, you are not, and that really does create for some very exciting racing out on track. As we've got a pair of couplets leading off here, as this is the battle in the back of them, Olivier and Trepanier, also very close to one another.
Yeah, so first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, trying to sort each other out. And I can report that J.R. Williams just got by Kevin Norris out of Siberia, so that's sixth place for him. Ooh, little look to the inside there from Trepanier. Again, he's trying to make a move up into Lukey Heights is usually a sign of desperation. Kind of shocked that he even showed his nose.
I am too, but I think that was a little bit more of trying to just psych out Olivier as much as possible, seeing if he can maybe force that Porsche offline, get a sudden wheel response, and let the rear end of it snap around. So we'll have to see. Tucks up behind in the draft. The Audi not the fastest in a straight line, so we're probably not going to see a whole lot of him here, and indeed drops back a little bit as they go down through Dewan.
Oh, looks like we got another taker in the pits. Tyler Campbell, the latest in the 23. And that's someone coming out. That is just Alan Roth with his repairs being done. Campbell finds his pit stall. We'll see where he cycles back out. Back to our leaders. Krasowski ahead of Fujita and covers off the inside down into Honda. Interesting.
I think Krasowski's starting to feel a little bit of the pressure here from that 320 Lamborghini. Definitely trying to get it, and I like what Fujita's doing here. He's not pressing the issue. He's not taking any dives. He's just keeping that very aggressive paint scheme right in the mirrors of Krasowski.
I love that we've got a Japanese driver out racing in the series. Very North American focused, this one, because of the time that this airs. And man, the pressure being put on Dominic here as Trepanier gets almost to touching distance of that rear bumper.
Yeah, very close. And again, through Sector 3, that Audi looking absolutely mega, and then just losing out here. I wonder if we see in the next couple of laps, Vincent maybe trying to back up a little bit into MG, trying to get a better run off of that corner. That may be the way to go for Vincent.
Cody Hatch had one of the most spectacular wrecks I've seen here at Phillip Island in some time. The earthen berms, or whatever you want to call them, at the side of the track are a bit of a unique feature, at least in modern day racing. A little bit of a touch, and then up it goes and actually clears it, sending him into a tumble.
And able to get that car back on its wheels, but he takes the tow anyways because that is going to be a whole bunch of damage. Here we can check it out again. Yeah, the earthen berm, yeah, just catches that outside grass and that sends him off. Oh, that is going to be a hard ride.
Yeah, and in real life, obviously, the car would kind of dig in a little bit, and he wouldn't be able to make it up that thing, except in extenuating circumstances. But here in the sim, they become a little bit of a jump, unfortunately. So, looks like Kwok Nin making a great battle right now with Edward Nelson down in 14th place. And he is going to be able to make that one stick, but they're coming up along the upper part of the course here past Hayshed. Does he try and fight back? He wants to, but he's not close enough.
Yeah, not close enough, and it's very, very hard to take that inside line, but he may have a little bit of a run through MG. No, he's going to back it off, try to take a little bit more of a defensive line up ahead. There was Nelson, but that ended up slowing down Kaelin off the apex, and he's not going to be able to fight back.
Just want to say, I love Nelson's paint scheme on that car. Simple, but clean and beautiful. Just looks nice on that Porsche. So as he comes across the line, up to 14th with that overtake. Ooh, did we have another overtake? We did. Menino, on his way back through the fields, has gotten by Danik Van Dale for the top 10.
He has indeed, and that's going to be even more breathing room there for Juan Benitez, as that will mean that those two AM class leaders are now separated out a little bit.
Yeah, that is great news for Juan, as the 55 still holding on to 9th overall, but will he be demoted down to 10th here in a little bit, especially if he goes wide like that. But Menino even had trouble getting the car slowed down for Honda as well.
Yeah, a little bit difficult to get that car slowed down. He just carries so much momentum through there that it's very, very tricky sometimes to get the car woed down. And like I talked about, you need to be patient on the loud pedal, because if you don't, it'll certainly take you out wide at the exit of the corner.
So bad news for fans of Diego Moraes. He is out of this race. The Brazilian has DNF'd. So after a win in the first round, he's gone from hero to zero. We continue to watch this fight for third position. Dominic Olivier up from 5th on the grid, but Vincent Trepigny, who started this in 4th, wants to finally gain a spot here in this race, has been hassling him, but just can't seem to find the way by.
Yeah, just can't exactly get on the way by, and it does look like Trepigny is getting a little bit more aggressive here, wanting to make the move before these drivers come back into pit lane for their scheduled pit stop. Trepigny thinking about maybe trying to make a move into Honda, but not enough space. Very close under braking, almost has to take avoiding action to not run into the back of Olivier.
Well, that'll be information he'll definitely hold on to. Because knowing he could be stronger on the brakes into that corner, that could give him a place to try and overtake. Jean-Marc Tremblay, our latest pitter, is in and back out. He's ahead of Brisson by a few seconds. Looks like Cody Hatch is in as well, but otherwise, pretty much nobody's been in. We've got almost everybody trying to go as long as possible.
Yeah, and we normally will see pit stops fire off between about 15 minutes to go, and I've seen it go down as low as about 7 minutes to go in this series. But around here, I think the drivers will be able to stretch it out a little bit more. With the long straightaway here, you can definitely do a little bit of fuel saving, and so that should help in fuel economy for these cars.
The battles between 1st and 4th place have been staying put for quite some time. They put a lap on, I believe, Cody Hatch coming back out of pit lane after his pit stop. And we got another one down. This is Edward Nelson, who was in that fight with Kwok Nin earlier. So he's ducking away from that, hoping to use strategy to get himself some clear air.
Yeah, and there aren't a whole lot of gaps out on track. I think pretty much wherever Nelson ends up coming out, he's going to find himself in a little bit of traffic, as that will definitely hurt him. As we've got the 89 there off, that is Breton again.
Oof, not the best of days for the 89. He gets back rolling, and looks like Josh Slade going to be able to overtake him, as well as Tyler Campbell. Campbell's finished his pit stop, though. So he's already done. He's been in and out. Tremblay has also got his done. Oh, Teddy Lowendick just took another one. The 72 has been picking him off bit by bit after his early woes and is currently up into 16th position. Let's take a look at his onboard cam, see how he is doing in there. Unfortunately, his promise of a shoey looking highly unlikely for here today.
Yeah, not exactly the best for Teddy, but there you can see the focus as he comes down into the corner, looking his way through MG. It's exactly how you've got to do it. Now, watch it here. You've got to feather the throttle a little bit coming out of MG and through turn 11, and then it's flat out from here on out.
chatting away with one of his teammates, it sounds like, potentially. Doesn't look too thrilled about this one, but I wouldn't be either after how this has started. Still a little bit left to go, and he could try and at least get himself back to where he began this race for all is said and done. Sean Dickinson, in the meantime, has taken his stop. So the 64 gets rolling. Still waiting on almost everybody to finally take their service. This is a battle with Jerome Bertome now that he's come out of the pits and tries to go the long way around to the southern loop. Jerome's having none of that and says, please stay put.
Exactly. Dickinson's going to have to try to gather it up back again, and that's what makes passing through the southern loop so very difficult. That corner is really crowned as you go through there. The asphalt breaks away, and it's off camber on the outside of the corner, so if you try to carry more speed around there, it is a one-way ticket to understeer, and you'll soon find yourself out in the grass if you're not careful.
Somebody in the background there having all kinds of problems coming off of Honda there for a brief moment. But thankfully, no spins as we come back forward to our leaders. Fujita behind Krasowski. And I was making the point earlier for Fujita, it's the middle of the day on Tuesday right now when we are recording this, if you're watching this on a tape delay. And it's obviously not horrible hours for him, but I can't think of another time we've seen a Japanese driver here in the Precision Racing League.
Yeah, I think it may be the first one that we have seen. So good to see the series expanding out a little bit. Always love to have some new blood coming in. And obviously, Kazuki here doing a great job on a first impression. Just absolutely hassling Krasowski here this entire race.
Yeah, when you're dealing with pro-level drivers here in the PRL, you are no slouch. So these two, hovering at just about 4K iRating, have got their own that they can hold. Coming out of the penultimate turn now, he's not been able to get by quite yet. We've seen a few pokes and prods in there, but never really managing to get ahead of him. Gotta wonder, with how close he's been following him, do you wonder if he's maybe saving a bit of fuel?
That's a little bit of what I'm thinking. We haven't seen him make an aggressive attack down into the first corner. And so, well, as soon as I say that, here he goes.
This is the best run he's had down the Gardner Straight, and he is by. Well, all we had to do was talk about it, and Kazuki said, sure enough, I can do that. Krasowski settles into second place. Is this battle done, or is he going to fight back?
He's got a pretty good run off of the southern loop. He may have a look into Honda here. This is all going to be down to Kazuki to decide where he wants to try to defend this line. There's the look to the inside for Krasowski. Tries to be later on the brakes. They're going to go side by side through Honda.
Well, it was brief, but for at least part of a lap, Kazuki held the lead here in the PRL, but now Krasowski gets it right back from him. They have pulled well away from Trepanier, who is currently third. We had a pit stop from his rival. Olivier is in and out already himself. So they have distanced themselves. Whoa, a look to the inside into Lukey Heights, and I told you how scary that can be, and that's why.
Very, very close there for Kazuki Fujita. Very, very lucky that there wasn't contact between the two. Now the two power through out of turn 11. Are either of them going to opt to dive down pit lane here? Doesn't look like it, so we're in for another lap of battling.
BMW versus Lamborghini today. That low-slung Italian car just stalking behind the 33. He's got another good run. I don't think he's as close as what we witnessed last time, and look at him cover it off this time. He doesn't want him to get any sort of advantage, but now they come upon traffic. Aaron Webb is in front of them. Will this play a part in it? He's going to pull off to the outside. Nicely done by the 585.
Kudos and good driving there for Aaron Webb. He is going to feel very, very happy about that, being able to get out of the way. But that did break up the gap a little bit. It's now about 0.3 of a second between Fujita and Krasowski.
More and more takers in pit lane. Genet, Van Dale, Sepulveda is in. Olivier continues on past him. He's our highest bidder right now. He just takes 10th place back away. Ooh, yeah, it is a busy pit lane right now.
Yeah, it's a busy pit lane, and it's a tight, narrow, and small pit lane, so drivers have to be very, very careful about pulling off and in. There you can see opting to take the short route out, that they are able to do that here in this series.
Yep, there's no restrictions that they've placed on that one, and into the thick of it, out into the racing as well. As you can see, he's dealing with all kinds of traffic, and this is one of the pitfalls of if you pit a little bit early. That's Tremblay. No, Tremblay has stopped, actually. So this is for position between the pair of them, but it is between a pro and an am.
It is indeed, and we just heard over the radio that Trepanier pitting, as is Krasowski and Fujita, so your 3 leaders all coming down pit lane.
Oh, but Fujita went too hot into the pit entry. He went off course, and I think he hit the wall on his way in. Yes, he did.
Oh, yeah, that is a big clobber into the wall. Massive damage to the front of that Lamborghini.
Heartbreak for the 320. Car just squirming as he tries to get control of it, and even loses his second position in the process. Put his wheels in the dirt, actually. That's what caused it.
And it's very easy to do there, Joe. I talked about how narrow it is. Well, the pit entry is incredibly narrow. It's a much tighter apex corner coming on in there than it is normally on the racing line. And with the grass around here, you just get a little bit offline, and it's going to throw you. Kazuki able to come out right now in P4, and I'll have to see if that damage is going to allow him to stay up in that position or not.
Yeah, J.R. Williams about 3 seconds back right now, so there's your marker, and the Lamborghini not looking up to spec. Krasowski obviously is back in the lead after those pit stops. Olivier, with his early stop, managed to get himself into second ahead of Trepanier by a much better margin of about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, so the battles here really kind of resolving themselves. Olivier with that earlier pit stop proving a little bit more effective in the Porsche. It may have just been a result of a good in and out lap there for him. But one way or the other, 1.5 seconds between himself and Trepanier.
Got one of our onboards in a battle in the form of Genet in the 312. He's chasing J.R. Williams, who we've been kind of watching to see if he'll catch Fujita, which initial signs are looking like yes, because he has chopped that down to nearly 2.5 seconds. But before he gets there, he's going to try and rebuff the Lamborghini behind him. And there we see the onboard as he glances in his mirrors down the front stretch to make sure that he's not under attack from Kevin Norris, but he's not close enough to JR as they finish the Gardner Straight.
No, he's not, but this could be an area a little bit where that Porsche, as we get a little bit farther into this race, starts to suffer. You can see him diamonding off the corner there a little bit. That rear engine, rear wheel drive, if you spin the tires, very easy to do through the southern loop. Oh, just look at that Audi of Kevin Norris, though, just haunting the rear view mirror.
And he knows that he keeps glancing over there to make sure that he doesn't attack. But look how big he gets, almost looking like he's touching him from that onboard screen there. And they all are now in a fight for sure, because if we hop off board, you'll see that there's barely a car length between each of them.
Yeah, it is indeed. And I think this is really all going to come down here to the exit of MG. Who can get this corner right as they make their way around? Williams leading, Genet, Norris, 3 different makes and models of cars here. Who can get the power down right?
Fujita's got to hope that these 3 really start fighting. He's dropped 1.5 seconds already, so pace is absolutely hurting on that Lamborghini. Williams leading Genet and Norris onto the front stretch. Who's got the slipstream as they once again crank it up to over 150 miles an hour?
Cranking it on up. It looks like Arnaud Genet's got a little bit of a run here, but I don't think he's going to be quite close enough to get anything down through Dewan. And indeed, he's not. He may just have to be better on the brakes through the southern loop and try to get the launch.
Full second a lap slower last time by Fujita compared to Williams. So within about a lap, we should see him caught, unfortunately, if that's anything to go by, and the distance between himself and his rival. Defensive move from Williams doesn't feel totally safe. This will help Kazuki, and successfully defends off the Lamborghini of Arnaud Genet.
And I thought for a second there that Kevin Norris was going to have a look to the inside of Genet, but Genet able to cover him off and actually gain some time on him, keeping very close to the back of J.R. Williams here. This fight certainly anywhere but over.
That did hold him up somewhat, not looking as close as he was before to Kazuki Fujita, who's just trying to salvage this 4th place after he was fighting for a win earlier on across Lukey Heights and down into MG once again. But it gets cut down to now 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, they are really gaining here in this front straight. This is really where Fujita's going to be hurting, and this is going to help J.R. Williams. He's going to get the advantage of the draft, and he'll probably be able to hold off Arnaud Genet a little bit easier this time out.
Yep, top speed. I'm watching between the pair of them. Looks like 161, 62, 63. And a 165 for Williams, so a couple of miles an hour down, and that made all the difference because now JR is there.
Yes, he is, and watch for the move here going into Honda. Let's see how hard Fujita's going to try to defend on this. He's got to know his car is damaged, but he wants to hold on to as many points as possible.
He's going to cover it off. He'll try and fight this to the last breath. J.R. Williams has nowhere to go. He also has to play defenses. He gets a hurry up from behind. Arnaud Genet not liking this checkup.
Not liking it at all, but they're going to stay in line as they work their way through Siberia. Better launch off the corner, though, for J.R. Williams.
Does he dare try it into Lukey Heights, or is he going to try and stay patient where he knows he can outrun him down the Gardner Straight? Yeah, he's going to sit patient here, as there was a little bit of a peek from Arnaud. Kevin Norris just kind of watching all this unfold in front of him, wondering how it'll play out. Here we go once more, out of the penultimate turn in Swan. Will this be an easy pass for the 312?
Well, it looks like Fujita was able to get a little bit of a better launch there off of the corner, but again, that straight line speed is going to compromise him a little bit. But watch out for Genet. He looks very quick through Swan.
Williams pulls off to the right or left-hand side, right-hand turn. He'll have to swoop down across him. He's almost clear, but not quite. Now he is through, and Fujita finds himself losing not just 1, but 2 spots as the other Lambo of Arnaud Genet gets by. Is it going to be 3? Kevin Norris wants it. Yes, it is. He is passed, and a disappointing series of corners for the 320, but it's not over. He's going to fight back. He's got the inside. How deep does he dare take it in? Oh, he's going to go as deep as he possibly dares, and he is going to try and keep a nose ahead. It's not over here, DJ.
No, it is not. They're still going to be side by side back through Siberia, but that is going to favor Kevin Norris, almost banging doors on the exit of the corner. Norris able to get the good line off of it, but now they're going to be side by side up through the hay shed. Be careful here, boys.
This is some Kobayashi attitude out of Kazuki Fujita, just never willing to give it up. And he's still managing to keep this battle going. It's now been about 4 or 5 corners that they've been side by side. Behind them, watching, that's Dave Menino, still trying to recover from his problems, almost once again sideswiping one another as Kevin Norris in his Audi finally is fully ahead. But he's going to be giving the slipstream to Fujita, who really needs it down the front stretch.
Yeah, but behind Dave Menino looking very aggressive as well. He's going to try to pull out to the outside. All that battling has allowed for it. Here it is, almost 3 wide. Oh, and there goes Menino with the sweep around the outside, banging doors.
They both hold on to it, but now Norris has to try and do the same that Kazuki did, and they once again make contact, catches the car, but Menino gets pushed backwards into that 7th place. Norris manages to hold 6th.
And finally, part of that battle resolves itself, but Dave Menino looking very aggressive, going for a little bit of a crossover. Now tries to go around the outside of Honda. He's just got to get that car to stick a little bit around the outside, but I don't think he's got it.
This is all just to be inside the top 10 here that these guys are fighting for. This isn't even a podium position or anything amongst them. 3.5 minutes left to go. One of the best battles we've seen in some time here in the GT3s.
Absolutely incredible stuff there, and incredible spunk from Kazuki Fujita to just hold that damaged car on the best that he can down to the inside of MG.
He almost made it stick. He was a little bit off the apex, but it looks like Menino was wise to that one. Carries his speed around the outside. Both of them barely able to get the throttle down. Coming out of turn 11. Now onto the main straight. This should be an easy one for Menino. He's got the better top speed with the cleaner car.
He does indeed, and that could be the last death knell for Kazuki Fujita, but he's still trying to hold on to the best that he can, but that top line speed just really ending up hurting him.
Down to 8th, and I don't blame him for trying, and man, that almost is my drive of the race for the way that he fended them off for as long as he did in a wounded car. And he's got about 2.5 seconds down to Sean Dickinson, so he's not done with it yet, depending on how quick the 64 is able to be. Up ahead of them, this is J.R. Williams and Arnaud Genet. We left watching them from a bit ago after they got past Fujita, but their battle carries on even without the cameras on them.
Yeah, it does indeed, as they're just trying to, at least Genet just trying to get a little bit something on J.R. Williams here to the best of his abilities, but it just doesn't look like he's quite got the grip coming up through Lukey Heights.
A little too far behind for now, but never say never. That could find itself switching hands. A little mistake is all you'd need if you're Arnaud Genet. And they do have lap traffic in front of them. Josh Slade is up the road. After that, not really much in the way of lapped cars, though.
No, and we've seen a lot of good lapped etiquette out of these drivers, getting out of the way where possible. This track is wide enough at points that you can do that relatively easily.
He is right on top of there. Oh, and we got somebody off course. Is this Campbell? That's
yes,
Tyler
it is.
Campbell. So we come back once again between Williams and Genet. He could try and chuck it up the inside in the Honda if he's really brave. He's going to get the white flag next time, so he still has other opportunities. Nope, not going to really try something that risky here. Kozowski's actually just coming. Where is he? Oh, he's actually coming up through Hayshed. Are they that far ahead of them?
Yeah, they are. Kozowski's really been able to grow that gap even after the pit stop. He's got about 4 seconds back to Olivier, and Trepanier is a further 5 seconds back of Kozowski.
Yep, so off of the last 2 corners, you see our leader get ready to take the white flag. Credit to Olivier. He's about 4 seconds behind. Kept him honest, even if he couldn't try and challenge that leader. He's coming up to try and lap Edward Nelson here in front of him. The other Porsche just going to stay off to the left-hand side, make it nice and easy for him. Clock ticks down to 0 now. And it is 1 lap to go for Williams and Genet to sort out who is the first one outside the podium.
Indeed, and Arnaud Genet looking a little bit threatening here coming down into Southern Loop, but I don't think this is where he wants to make the move. Indeed, doesn't go for anything too crazy, just trying to focus on corner exit here to carry as much speed. That looks like a pretty good run for him. Tuck up behind in the draft and see if he can make a move into Honda.
I have to think he's going to try and have a go, especially if JR doesn't defend, but he does. Just parks his car in the most awkward spot he could put it. Make sure that there's not really a good option for Arnaud. So will we see a wild dive in the last few corners? That is the question. We still got a little bit of time before Kozowski gets to the line as they come up through Hayshed and into Lukey Heights. Definitely not close enough to try and be crazy into that left-hander. Maybe MG, maybe a slingshot off the final turn if he is daring. But we got to now go to our leader because Kozowski is going to kick it off with back-to-back wins. He may have gotten a penalty in the first round, but I don't think you can fault him this time. What a run for a win number 2 for the rookie Daniel Kozowski.
Kozowski really staking his name to some of the fastest drivers in this PRL field. Olivier going to come home in second, and it looks like Trepanier will be able to hold on to that final podium position.
Williams also managing 4th ahead of Genet, who's not able to get past him. And our highest AM runner, Juan Benitez, inherited it, but he grabbed that opportunity with both hands. The 55 wins the AM class here today. with a bunch of cars behind him, mostly pros, though. That was Sepulveda and Tremblay that you saw, as Danik Van Dale will get second, and Kwok Nin a podium in the AMs as well. Nicely done by the 86. Got a few close battles. Actually, wow, 19th, my goodness. 18th, really, Jerome Bertome, Tyler Campbell. This is cars all side by side. Kuntz, Brisson. How is this going to settle out? It looks like Bertome might have this one. No, he's slow in a straight line, and Campbell gets by. He runs out of fuel, I think. Bertome sputtered to the line and lost himself a position at the very end. And that is going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Phillip Island. This was a great one out here in Australia that we just witnessed. The lead was challenged, and while there were few passes for it, it was tense. And Daniel Krasowski withstood the pressure to go from pole to the win out there today. Dominic Olivier was second behind him as Vincent Trepanier finished third. J.R. Williams off the podium came up from 8th position, and Arnaud Genet from 7th to 5th. And it was Dave Menino on the front row, mysteriously slow at the start, and then, well, mistakes cost him quite a bit. He recovered, but only to 6th. Kevin Norris was 7th. It was Kazuki Fujita who challenged Krasowski for the win for much of the race, but found himself making a critical error on pit entry, smacked the wall, and had to settle for 8th after he was down on speed. Sean Dickinson was 9th, as our winner in the AM class was Juan Benitez in 10th overall.
Coming home in 11th, it was Vicente Sepulveda with Jean-Marc Tremblay in 12th, and Danik Van Dale taking that second position for AM overall for AM class. Kwok Nin was the third driver in AM, followed by Jean-Claude Langlois in 15th. Teddy Lowendick recovered to 16th after that early spin with Marc-Andre Desjardins in 17th. Tyler Campbell 18th, Jerome Berthoum 19th, and Tommy Brisson rounding out your top 20.
21st went to Jordan Coons, followed by John Jarek in 22nd, with Dewey Kang 23rd, Aaron Webb 24th, and Alexander Breton the last on the lead lap in 25th. From there on down, Edward Nelson was 26th, a lap down. Josh Slade 27th, and Cody Hatch 28th. Those behind him were DNFs here today. But it looks like we have our winner ready to talk to us, Daniel Krasowski, coming in with another pole. And this time, we don't expect any sort of penalties. As Daniel, that was an impressive performance. You had to fight hard for it, as it looked like Kazuki pressured you pretty much the whole way. Might have to get Daniel properly mic'd up here. Daniel, do you have a copy? Might be having a few issues here with Daniel. We'll come back to him in a little bit. In the meantime, it looks like we've got a winner in the AM category, third place finisher in the AM category. That is Kwok Nin. DJ is going to be talking to him.
I am indeed. Kwok, a really good recovery drive there after a little bit of rough qualifying. You've got to feel pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I keep on forgetting that this is split between Pro and AM series. So when I qualified, I think it was 21st place position. I thought I had a whole lot of making up to do, but apparently I didn't, because when I look at the results, I was in 3rd place.
Well, what happened there in qualifying? It looks like you certainly had the race pace. Was it just a matter of stringing a lap together, or what?
Yeah, it was just getting used to the track usage and the temperature of the track, because I was normally racing at like when the track was like that 27, 28 degrees Celsius. So it's a bit of a track change.
Gotcha. Well, we head from the lovely shores of Australia over to the middle of England next time and go to Silverstone. Do you think that's going to be a race that favors you and the BMW? Obviously, straight line speed pretty important around there.
Yeah, definitely. I have to put in a lot of practice there. I've never driven the BMW there, but hopefully it gives me an advantage on that track.
Well, we'll be watching for you. Anybody you'd like to thank for this third place in class today?
I thank you guys for hosting, and then just PRL for hosting a great race and keeping it clean.
Well, we are more than happy to. That was Kwok-Nin, your third place overall, or third place in AM class. And now, Joe, I believe Daniel Kozowski's got his mic working for you.
Yes, he does. Daniel, congratulations on the win, but talk about the pressure that you had to soak up from the Japanese driver.
Oh man, what a race. I knew this was going to be a tough one. BMW is like the slowest car on this track. I think all week I haven't seen a single BMW in a top split. It was all Audi and Lambo. And since we got to drive the same car, I knew this was going to be tough. But with enough practice and playing with the setup, I was like, if I can make laps within a tenth each, I might have a fighting chance. I was actually expecting to maybe be third or second or up to fifth in qualifying, and then I was going to try to save fuel and make a jump in the pit, but Kazuki was doing that. I was really scared, especially when I knew he was going to try to make a pass in the last two laps so he can get into the pit first. So that was a little fun battle there, and too bad he went into the wall, but it did probably save me the win. So Kazuki, thank you for that very much.
Sometimes luck is on your side, but talk about your experience now that you've had two races here in the PRL GT3 Pro Am. Did you expect to do this well as a rookie?
No, I thought, especially with the pro class, I realized there are some fast guys here, but with a little bit of practice, I was able to keep up to them and take the win. I think it's more about making mistakes than raw pace and strategy. So, putting that together, coming to the race, taking the pole and focusing, not making any mistakes, that's the way it goes, I guess. But there's some great contenders here. I see in the top three, Dominic, Vincent, Kazuki. I'm constantly looking at my relative, and these guys are doing the same pace. The only time it changes is when somebody makes a mistake. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. It's going to be a tight battle, and we'll see who survives.
Yeah, speaking of the future, next round going to be Silverstone. Can you make it a three-peat?
You know what? To be honest, I haven't driven the new Silverstone yet, and I'm going to be prepping for the 24 hours of Daytona and the roar before the 24. So I'm not going to practice that much. So I'm probably not going to win the next one.
All right. Well,
we'll do our best.
Yeah, downplaying things a bit, it sounds like. But Daniel, congratulations. Is there anybody you want to thank for today's victory?
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to thank my mom. I'd like to thank Kazuki for a great race. Precision Racing League and the stewards, thank you for dropping some penalty points and accepting my appeal last time. I apologize for blinking all the time. I did fix my internet connection. Hopefully it was stable this time for you guys. And GSRC, you guys make a great broadcast. And I'd like to thank my karting team, PKM, the Polish Karting Mafia.
I love that name. That was Daniel Kozowski. Thank you for the kind words. And up next, I believe the man who followed him home by about 4 seconds was Dominic Olivier. DJ's caught up with him.
Dominic, you were really putting on some good moves out there. Obviously, in the middle of that race, it looked like about a 17-way battle. But coming home second step on the podium, you have got to be very, very pleased.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was hoping to try and make up some more ground at the start, but it was pretty hectic trying to play it more on the cautious side. I set the car up for this race to be a little bit more on edge to try and have somewhat of an advantage, since Porsche was a little bit on the weaker scale for this track, but it didn't go as planned, but good job to Daniel.
Well, it looked like you were really able to get that gap over Vincent Trepanier and make that stick in the pit stops. Was it always the plan to come in early, or was that a spur-of-the-moment decision?
It was a spur of the moment. I tried. I think it was Vincent that I battled at Red Bull Ring as well, and I tried the same thing, but obviously just overcooked it coming into the pits. Tried the same thing again, but made sure that I didn't screw it up. And I don't know, for some reason I was able to put some time on him in the pits. I thought for sure he would have the fuel advantage on me. I was quite a bit slower than him in the second half of the track, so that was quite odd, but certainly happy to have done it.
Well, as we turn our sights to Silverstone, you said this, wasn't exactly a Porsche favored track. Do you think that one's going to be a little bit more to your liking, or are you going to have to be putting in some strong wheeling to get this thing back up on the podium?
I think it's going to be tough. I mean, I definitely chose the car for more of a challenge. It seems to be the weaker car these days, but it's good fun. I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. First time actually racing it. So being able to, at least keep Daniel honest is certainly fun. I'm not sure how the car is going to fare at Silverstone, but fingers crossed. I'll keep pushing and try to get that elusive win.
Well, we'll keep watching for you. Anybody you'd like to thank for this podium here today?
Yeah, I just want to thank my team, Precision Racing East. I thank our partners, Advanced SimRacing, ButtKicker, RaceLab, NinjaTrader, and you guys, GSRC, for the awesome broadcast.
Well, thank you very much. When you guys put on a race like that, I know we are certainly happy to do it. That was Dominic Olivier, your third place finisher here today. And now, Joe, I believe you've caught up with our fifth place finisher, Arnaud Genet.
Indeed, and he was in a very close fight at the end there with J.R. Williams trying to catch up to him, but it was not to be in the end. Were you certain that you could give something to him and try and take that fourth, or was it kind of a let's just stick with it and hope it comes to me?
Yeah, I was hoping him to make a mistake, to be honest. This track is so hard to pass, and JR is not making any mistakes. He was fortunate enough to pass me on during the pit cycle. So yeah, trying to follow him as much as I can. We got tangled a little bit in the lap traffic, but yeah, in the end, he had a great setup. I think I was running a little bit more downforce, so I couldn't catch as much in the straights, and couldn't make up for during the corner. So yeah, I could follow him, and of course he's a buddy of mine. We are organizing this series together for a while now, so for sure I didn't want to punt him at any point. So yeah, it's a good finish for me. PP5, I'll take it anytime. And too bad for I can't remember the name, but somebody was trying to save field, I think, at the end and just give us a position. So yeah, great fun tonight.
Yeah, I think that may have been Kazuki Fujitsu, who's actually damaged and just didn't have the pace, unfortunately. You are in an upward swing, it seems, going from seventh in that first round now to a top five here. Can you maybe sneak a podium over in England?
Ooh, that's going to be a tough one. To be honest, the field is quite strong. Daniel is so great, and I'm having like those conversations with Vincent since he won last year. I was making fun of him because he was. I was joking about him not being in the right series. So now he's kind of making me pay for those comments. So congrats to him. And yeah, I'm just trying to catch to him, and yeah, have some fun. This, I'm not as fast as the other ones, but still I'm having a lot of fun and great battles on track. So yeah, looking forward to Silverstone, and hope that Lamborghini gives me a good speed on the straights, and making be able to pass Vincent maybe once this year.
Well, we were certainly given a lot of entertainment by you on this race. Is there anybody else you want to give a shout to before we let you go?
Well, of course, you guys, you're doing an awesome job, of course, and to everyone that just run this series, and PRL, of course, and all of our sponsors.
Thank you very much. That was Arnaud Genet, our 5th place finisher, which is going to close out our interviews. So we want to give a big thank you to our sponsors before we go, which includes ASR. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. And RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. And ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. As well as NinjaTrader. Visit NinjaTrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. And also check out our merchandise store. It's gsrc.storeenvy.com, and there's a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because in a week's time, it's off to 2 very classic European tracks, Spa and Silverstone, on Monday, January 17th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out, mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.